Hi, let's take a look at Lacock Abbey on the outskirts of Lacock village in Wiltshire. We'll take a dive into its 800 years of history. Lacock can be found in the southwest of the UK, just under 15 miles from the city of Bath and just over 100 from London. The nearest railway station is at Chippenham, 4 miles to the north of the Abbey. There is a large car park a few hundred metres away from the Abbey, which is free for National Trust members. Lacock Abbey, like the village, is managed by the National Trust. I'll drop a link in the description to their site so you can find out more. So without further ado, let's take a look around Lacock Abbey. And let's start with the history. Officially founded on the 16th of April 1232 by Ella, Countess of Salisbury, although what we'll show you has changed a lot over the centuries. However, some of the original heart of Lacock Abbey remains. After 300 years, Lacock Abbey is dissolved due to Henry VIII's fallout with Rome, and the abbey and village is sold to William Sharrington, one of the king's courtiers. And so Lacock Abbey becomes an English country home. The estate passed through inheritance to John Talbot, and the Talbot family name was associated with it until it was given to the National Trust in 1944. And that Talbot name is synonymous with one chapter in Lacock's history, but we'll find out more when we step inside. We need to climb these steps to the first floor and the entrance to the Great Hall. Now, like a lot of things around here, all is not as it seems. The Great Hall was altered to look like this in Georgian times by the then owner John Ivory Talbot in the fashionable Gothic style. Now, there's something very Harry Potteresque about all of this, and we'll find a link to the movies of the boy wizard shortly. All of this work is beautifully maintained by the craftspeople engaged by the National Trust. I am left wondering what impression John Ivory Talbot was hoping to make to the guests to his home. What are your thoughts? I'd love to know, so leave us a comment below. Our journey now takes us through the arch to the Brown Gallery. Above the long case clock is a picture of Matilda Talbot, who gifted Lacock Abbey to the National Trust. The Brown Gallery would have once been the nuns' refectory, although twice as wide and twice as high, where they would have gathered for their hot meal, and one of them would have read from the Bible from the pulpit whilst they ate in silence. As you can see, Lacock Abbey has changed over the years. Like the Stone Gallery, which would have been the nuns' dormitory, again twice as high and twice as wide. Now home to a collection of portraits from Tudor through to Georgian. As we step through history, the next room is genuinely fascinating. The Blue Parlour and study of Henry Fox Talbot. For those who don't know, Henry Fox Talbot is one of the early pioneers of photography. He captured the first photographic negative here in Lacock Abbey. Through his work, a photograph could be reprinted as many times as wanted from a single negative. He was also a keen scientist and mathematician who lived in Lacock Abbey until his death in 1877, and he's buried in the village cemetery. Make sure if you're visiting Lacock Abbey to also visit the village. I have a short video on Lacock Village which I'll pop up at the end. We now find ourselves stepping into the South Gallery, and I can't help wondering if that's genuine or part of the Gothic revival. I know that's a Moreno light fitting from one of the Venetian islands. Along here you'll find a piano and a harp, because this is where the family would enjoy their music of an evening. And now that Oriel Window, and the first scene ever captured to a photographic negative. This is to many where the world of photography started, from a little wooden box left for hours on a mantelpiece, capturing light and shade. The South Gallery now leads to the Georgian dining room. Although grander in scale, this reminds me of number 1 Royal Crescent in Bath. I'll add that video to the end too. Originally the abbess's room, the small door to the left of the fireplace would have led to the cloisters below. And now we find ourselves back at the Great Hall. But that doesn't mean the tour is over. Oh no! After one last look around, we head to the cloisters. Stepping outside, I now try to imagine how it would have looked before being turned into a country house. It must have changed so much over the years. How would it have looked when Elizabeth I stayed in 1574? Well, we can step back into the past by heading to the cloisters. Here we can discover parts of the abbey that haven't changed since the 1400s. There are 3 passages within the cloisters, leading to several rooms. And if this looks familiar to you, then you've entered the world of Harry Potter, with Lacock Abbey featuring in several films of the franchise. Lacock Abbey is also featured in the BBC's adaptation of Hilary Mantel's Wolf Hall, as well as the other Boleyn Girl. You do seem to have a window into another world. We now enter the warming room at Lacock Abbey, complete with iron cauldron. Stepping through the old part of Lacock Abbey, you are transported back in time. And remember the old adage, always look up. If you want to enjoy Lacock Abbey, then why not stay in Lacock Village? You're on the outskirts of the Cotswolds and it'll make a lovely place to explore from. I'll add a link in the description so you can check out your options. Or if you prefer to stay in a city, then Bath is only 15 miles away and that's the place we've fallen in love with. Walking around the cloisters was a peaceful experience. Perhaps as it was all those hundreds of years ago. The Charter House looked particularly impressive, and it didn't take a huge leap of the imagination to envisage it as it once was. I hope you like what we put together here. If you have, give us a like, we'd appreciate that. And why not subscribe so you don't miss any of our further travels. Leaving the cloisters, we're now going to head on to the Abbey Courtyard. Taking a step back here, you can see the mix of architectural styles. Although some things may surprise you, this Gothic arch is from the 18th century. In no time at all, you reach the Abbey Courtyard. Most of this dates back to Tudor times, although the clock mechanism dates from 1880 and is still wound by hand every week. If you want to bring along a picnic, why not enjoy it in the courtyard? If you want something prepared for you, then there's a Stables Cafe in the High Street, Lacock. The courtyard was also home to the brewery and bakehouse, which you can also take a look at. Our next stop on the tour of Lacock Abbey is the Botanic Gardens. This is a wonderfully kept garden, as you'd expect from the National Trust. The Botanic Garden has its roots in the Abbey's past, with nuns growing herbs for medicine as well as for cooking. It was William Henry Fox Talbot who had the greenhouses added centuries later. These greenhouses were restored from 2004 to 2008, and I think we're going to take a look inside. There are some wonderful plants in the collection, and I think keen gardeners may find a little inspiration. Which is all rather handy because you can pick up a selection at the gift shop. And I take that as my cue to say thanks so much for watching. Remember to give us a like, we'd appreciate that. Stay safe, stay well, and happy travels.